Hey, what's up everybody? If you're watching this video, chances are you probably purchased one of our dead engine start kits for all the Sport Shift models.
Go! If you're a YXZ owner and you're tired of getting that butt spanked into turn number 1, we got you covered.
We got you covered. You'll be right in the thick of it now. The whole reason behind this kit was to get away from having that. Basically, when you crank it on a hare scramble, they're all dead engine, engine's not running. Factory, you cannot crank that car and then hit the throttle and go. Like that, it powers down the MCU for the transmission and you end up, it's like sitting in neutral or the clutch is disengaged. So what this does is it turns your factory ignition switch into a main power switch. You just turn it to run, cram it in gear, and then don't start the car. Here's your start button. When you're ready, they drop the flag, you hit the button, crank the car, put your foot on the throttle and go.
Bam!
So what we got here is just basically your Ford style solenoid with a custom lug to downsize the stud to be able to adapt straight to your factory Yamaha starter wire. And we're gonna go through the whole installation process on this. You're gonna need a couple 1/2-inch wrenches, 7/16 wrench, an 8mm, and then you're going to need 2 12s for your battery posts, and a Phillips head. All this stuff when you come will be all together, but the wires and all the hardware will be loosely bolted together. You'll have to tighten all that stuff yourself. And then if you decide that, hey, I don't want to go trail ride or whatever the case may be, and you want to disable this kit, all it is would be just unbolt the hot wire at the battery, and then you take this nut off there and take your stock starter wire and put it back on the stock solenoid. Bolt it back up and it'll crank up like normal with the key, and this will just be all sitting there ready to go whenever you want to run it. You just bolt it all back together.
So you could essentially leave this whole setup in the car and not use it by taking off that one terminal.
Right. So be done with it. So.
Okay, go over to the car, start putting this baby in there, huh?
Let's do it. We got the center console torque part. You're going to need at least to pull this panel off on the side down here. So that way you have a spot to run your wires, and then also the trim piece that goes over top, so you can pull this panel up if you're going to run it where we're going to run our button. Now, like I said before, there's enough lead in this that you can mount it up here, or you can mount it even next to the stock starter switch underneath the panel right there, if you wanted to, if you didn't have your paddle shifters. But since we're just going to go ahead and kind of make it kind of generic, you could also mount it here or mount it there. This is where we're going to put it at. And mind you, what you're going to want to do is with this push button, it's like this all comes apart because that's how you get it up in where you're going to put it at. Just take this nut, spin it all the way down, run it down to where the switch gets hard to turn, and then run that nut up to it, so then that's how much of your switch is going to be sticking down. So you just got to make sure that there's enough room, and with this spot of the panel there's nothing there, so you can bolt it right in there and be clear. Basically you're just going to run your positive over to the positive side, and then you're going to need this positive for the switch power to close the relay or the solenoid, and then the ground. It's very important with these. You can mount this directly to plastic, but obviously plastic doesn't conduct electricity. So you have to run, your ground cable has to be on one of the bolts that mounts it to the firewall or your package tray or this plastic piece here, and then this goes down to the battery. Otherwise, the solenoid will not work. So just remember 2 things, because you're gonna have to unbolt it, put that back on there. Whenever you're done, bolt it up, put this to negative, hook everything else up, run your wires, and drill your hole and all that stuff, and you'll be good to go. Now you'll be able to get to these bolts once you get your airbox kind of out of the way by popping that cargo cover tray off. Of course, we're running a short course intake on back to the 90s, so it makes things 10 times easier, so you don't have to deal with that stock airbox, but it is definitely doable with the stock airbox. Now there's a bar that runs across the back of this. It's right underneath, it's right in there. So you're gonna have to straddle it and turn this solenoid sideways. Figure out where oh, there it is. Crank those down. You can kind of take negative wire. Of course, you cut all these things off here. These are just tags. We'll have something a little better than just masking tape, but just for purposes of coming up with a video, so that way when you guys go to get them, you'll be set. And then there again, like I said, we leave these terminals loose so you kind of spin the eyelets around and however they want to lay nice and neat for you to get down to your terminals that you need to get to. This is your stock starter solenoid right here. And you need an 8mm to take that bolt out. I can't really.
I don't know if I can get in there. Let's see.
From this guy right here. Take that one off. It goes directly to that post. Tighten it down. So basically, if you wanted to disable this kit, you would take this cable off of that post, bolt it back down to your stock solenoid, and if you really want to, you could take this wire off the positive post, but you don't even have to do that. You just, once you move it over to that, it don't matter if you push it or not, it's just going to energize that, and it's not going to go to anything, and this thing will start with your key like normal. It's going to work the best here. Yeah. So the best thing to use for the template on this is just a little bit smaller diameter than what your button is. So you take the nut off of there, kind of scoot it down, give you about 1/8 between here, this seam and that seam. It should be pretty doggone close. Of course, my fat fingers are in the way, but then I'm gonna draw that hole. And then all you gotta do is center your drill bit up into that. Pop that up, take it over the bench or whatever. Of course, there's three connections. You got, your 4-wheel drive, your headlight switch, and then also your dude that tells you to wear a helmet. Be cool. He's got a dude helmet on too, so.
Yeah, you gotta unplug.
And then your reverse or whatever that is, or parking brake light, I think. But that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna mount ours right there. We're gonna send it. Probably wouldn't hurt to use a pilot hole, but we like to live dangerously, so. Yes. And if you get a burr whip, these work really nice. The reason why I'm really big on using the step bits you can get at Harbor Freight because they're cheap is because you get it through to your 5/8, because chances are you're going to look at that and it's going to give you the increments of what each step is. You mark it with a Sharpie. So you go down to that point, boom, you're there, and then you just kiss it on either side with the next step up, and it deburrs it for you automatically. Little fab tip for you there. But if you've got access to one of these, by all means, use that. Make it mess with your bench.
Blow off.
All right, got our hole. Fits in there nicely. So take that. And then the nut, like I said before, just gonna run this nut all the way down, which this is on this, it's a 22mm or 7/8 nut. So you're gonna run this down to where she stops. Just don't cross thread it. This switch is, by the way, it's waterproof. Run that up to it. Back that off. Now you gotta take into account of how thick your plastic is. This is probably like what, 1/8?
I'd say so.
So back that down. Kind of eyeball you 1/8. This is just to get it close. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So you're gonna constantly adjust it here. And then take you a big 22, maybe. Yep. Hold on to your nut, your push button cover. And give her a little, yep, just to compress it into the plastic. And that's Jenga for the most part. So there's your push button starter. You have zip ties?
Oh yeah.
Of course we've got zip ties. We're gonna start zip tying from here back, and then we'll go ahead. The last thing we'll do is we'll hook up our connections there at the battery, and then we're ready to go give her a shot. Oh, and another benefit to this is that I just so happen to find, if you reference the transmission video, instead of sitting there barring the motor over, I got that dead engine start deal. You can leave the key off. You can literally roll the engine over without the key on. It will never start, but you can like bump it over to get to the next drive shaft bolt. Yep. Or if you just change the oil in it, you can sit here, roll this thing over for about 10 seconds, get oil primed in it, and then start it.
Yep.
So a couple of added benefits to that I found over the years. So.
You get it?
Yep. And those are a custom made stud from us to be able to adapt this stock starter wire cable to this solenoid, and do not lose that. Make sure that is not stupid tight, but just it's on there, because otherwise without that you'll have to drill that eyelet out and bolt it to the big lug, and I don't think there's enough meat on that without cutting this cable and putting a bigger eye terminal on it, and that's just, it's a pain in the butt. We're here to make things easier for you, not harder. All right, and then you can take this booty, spin it around on the cable, and work it back up over your stud, if you can get it to cooperate, but it will do it. Boom, just like that. Nice and protected. There's that one. I like mounting these fuse holders kind of upside down. They are packed with dielectric grease, but if you mount them upside down when you wash it, water won't get in and run down into the terminals and corrode them. Like, just the added thing. It's not really anything to worry about, but that's just me just trying to prepare for any and all kind of outcomes that you don't want to have happen.
We'll pay attention to where this negative wire goes. This is pretty important.
So yeah, it's bolted in underneath the head of the bolt. The washer, it grounds the top of that solenoid out, and then this is going to just run right down and go straight to your battery terminals.
So we got the one wire, one ground wire down to the negative part of the battery, 2 wires on the positive, and that is all hooked up. Switch is hooked up. It's in there. We got to set some plastic down on here.
Yeah, we'll just
Hello? Look at that, and the key was off.
And the key was off, like I said. That's a cold start. So, there she is, ladies and gentlemen. It's in there. All it's over left now is zip tying things how you want.
Hey, I got an idea how we can test it.
Okay.
Go down here. We'll make there's a green mark on the road down there. We'll just call that, like, it's like right at the edge of my driveway. We'll call that the start. We'll go down. I'll go down there by that big tree down there. I'll be the flagman. I'll say go. I'll drop my hand. You go. You fire it, take off, and I'll use your phone with a stopwatch. When you get to me, I'll click it.
All right. Works for me.
All right. All right, so this is going to be test number 1 with the dead engine start kit in it. I got a stopwatch here in my hand. Kevin's lining up right at the edge of my driveway. I'm going to be the flagman. I'm going to tell him to go. Hit the start button. We'll see how far he can get from there to me with the dead engine start kit. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, you ready? Go!
All right, it's first gear, keys on.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay, ready? Go! That was 3.91 seconds from the time that I yelled go until you got to me at that tree with the dead engine kit in it. So now we're going to disconnect the kit.
Yep.
And we're going to do the same exact test from the same exact points and see how fast we can get or how much time we lose from there to here.
I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to crank it, keys on. I'm going to crank it like you would stock, and I'm going to hit the throttle just like I did, and it's going to go. It's not going to go anywhere. You have to sit there and wait and go, and we'll do one with that, and then I'll crank it up, sit for a second, wait for the tranny to wake up, and then go.
Okay, so we're back in the stock configuration now. We're going to test this thing the exact same way we did with the dead engine start kit in it now. Same distance, same everything. Tell Kevin to go. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Go!
Yep.
Okay, so tell everybody what that was. Because
that was
7 seconds, 7.5 seconds, 7.5 seconds. Okay, so tell everybody what just happened.
So basically, you have the key on. It's in first gear right now, and you crank this thing. That solenoid kills power to your transmission controller. So when you crank it, it starts up. It might be in gear, but the clutch is disengaged. It will not apply the clutch for like 3 seconds or so, or like allow that part for it to engage the clutch or even put itself into gear, whatever the case may be. All I know is that it kills power to that thing. It has to boot it up. Now, if you crank it up and sit and wait and then go.
When you started it, your foot was on the floor as you were cranking,
As soon as I cranked it, as soon as that motor lit off, I put it straight to the floor.
Okay, so we're going to do this test again. What are you going to do differently?
I'm going to start it up and give it like 2 seconds, and then I'm going to go.
All right, okay, here we go. Test 3. Okay, so that time, Kevin started the motor up with his foot. As he fired it up, his foot was on the gas, and it basically free revved. He gave it a second, then he took off. This time, he's going to crank it up, give it a second to engage, and then he's going to take off.
First. Yep.
Ready?
Yep.
Go! Ready?
Yep.
Go! That was 5.7, so that's almost, or that's 2 seconds quicker in that amount of distance right there. I don't know what,
that's stock, knowing you have to wait.
Yeah, that was stock, knowing you got to wait for it to light up. So in, what do you think that is? How many feet you think that is?
That's every bit of 30 yards, so whatever, 30 yards,
Yeah.
about
90?
80, 90 feet.
So 2 seconds in 80 feet.
Yeah.
Is the difference between the dead engine start kit, which you're going to tell when you watch the video that it was
way better.
It was obviously, what is going, oh, that's okay, you're parked underneath the tree. I'm like,
I'm like, yeah, I kind of looked at that.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, hi. Now that we got the whole neighborhood kind of shook up and it's blizzard conditions now.
Right.
Merry Christmas from Ohio.
Right.
Jesus.
So, anyways, the proof's in the video. Buy yourself a dead engine start kit if you're racing a YXZ
Sport
in the
shift.
woods with a sport shift, and get this sucker ripping off the line. Oh, and
Get yourself a quickener and get yourself a set of
get
these.
yourself a quickener.
Yeah. Get a quickener, a steering quickener, 2-to-1, and then a set of the push button paddles or push button shifters, or just a set of push button shifters.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about racking your hands on the paddles or anything
Yep.
while you're shifting. They're all right there.
And get yourself a dead engine start kit from Race Relentless. Go to the website,
Order it.
order it today, and get yourself into turn 1, first place.
If you can assemble a drawer or a cabinet from IKEA or any IKEA furniture, you could do this with your eyes closed. Just telling you.
As always, thanks for watching all of our videos. We appreciate you guys watching all of our videos and all the support that we've got, especially since the website launched and everything. Really appreciate that. We have some new merch coming out real soon, so keep your eyes open. Actually, all the merch is actually printed. It's done. We have it.
Okay.
We have our hands on it. We just haven't released it yet. It's pretty cool. I'll give you a hint what the new merch is. There's many sayings in racing. One of the most popular ones is when in doubt, throttle out.
Right.
But we live by only one motto, and that's run it in deep and sell it cheap.
Polecat Nation.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't,
Please do so.
later.
See ya.